Good mor Good morning. Yeah, I'm live. Yeah, there you go. Brighten up, bitch. Oh man. Yeah, it's Saturday. I have my sweater on today because it's kind of chilly outside. Let me check something. I should have done this before I got on, I know. What's the weather like today? What is the weather in Harrisburg? Right now, it's 50 degrees. It's supposed to get up to a high of 67. And we have been going through a period of like the last 4 or 5 days of rainy or semi-rainy weather. And I think every morning I've woken up pretty much this week. It's been foggy as hell or cloudy and really gloomy outside. It's not weather that's conducive to someone who has depression. I'm doing okay though. I have finally gotten used to my med schedule being at night. That was something I was having a lot of trouble with. And I was even telling a person that I would catch myself getting into bed. And then after I was laying in bed for about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd go, oh, I forgot to take my meds. So I'd have to get up and take my meds. But now I'm like setting a schedule to say, like at 10 o'clock, I take my meds, just to make certain. Steaming hot coffee, just fresh out of the Chemex, So my week, it's really, like I said, there has been a lot of outdoor activity. It's just not nice outside. It's been wet. It's been rainy. I'm actually thinking of going over to Mechanicsburg later this afternoon and dropping off 3 books, which I have duplicates of, that I'm going to put in one of those little free libraries. Because over the last 2 years, I've gotten duplicates of 3 novels that were given to me either for birthday gifts or gift exchanges. And I just realized it was wow, I have duplicates of all these novels. So there's a little bookstore. There's not a bookstore, but it's one of those little libraries that you see where it's take a book, put a book. And we have one over in Mechanicsburg, about 15 minutes away, that's shaped like a TARDIS. I've seen it. So I'm thinking of going over there today and putting my 3 books, the spares I've got, in there. And just saying, there you are. Somebody can read these books now. Yeah, because I'm that type of person. Why keep duplicates? I mean, it's not like I'm ever going to read. I've actually already read a couple of the books, and I'm starting on. I was partway through the 3rd when I got it for a birthday present. I was like, and then somebody else sent me a birthday present, and I realized I have this wish list on Elster that I hadn't cleaned up after getting gifts, and people went out there and said, "Oh, you know what Cassie would really like? She'd like these books." Yeah. So I've removed those books, and now all that's left is the box set of the Expanse novels. So send those to me, because I really would like to read those, especially since Sci-Fi canceled the show. And it doesn't look like it's going to get picked up by another group either, which is kind of a shame. It would be nice if Netflix or Amazon would pick it up, except Amazon's spending $500 million on the Lord of the Rings TV show. Yay. Whenever these pay-for-streaming groups say, well, we had to cancel a show because it was costing too much, and then you turn around and in Amazon's case, they're spending literally $500 million on a Lord of the Rings show. And Netflix paid $60 million to David Chappelle for 3 specials, 20 million each, in one of which he does this lengthy transphobic joke, which some guy timed and said he basically got paid $1.7 million to do a joke that was really nothing more than transphobic slurs. Yeah, thanks, Netflix. Tell me again why you canceled Sense8. It was costing too much? Yeah, my ass. Which reminds me, I really should get the last few episodes from season 2 that I was actually doing last year at this time out before the final episode airs on the 8th of June, which will probably see me in front of the TV at 3 o'clock in the morning. Whenever that sucker drops, I will be watching it. If it's going to be one of those, it drops at 3 in the morning like the Christmas special did, I will be up at 3 in the morning watching the damn thing. That is no joke. I will be. Trust me. And I will probably be crying through most of it. I've already seen the trailer, and it looks like it's just going to be insane. I mean, we know what's going to happen. They got to rescue Wolfgang. And as they stated, BPO is going to throw everything they've got against them to prevent it from happening. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be sad, though. I wish it had actually went a full 3 seasons. Instead of, it costs too much. Oh, here, we'll just give David Chappelle $20 million to piss on people. Thanks, Netflix. Thanks. And Amazon will probably say, well, we can't pick up the expense because it's going to cost us too much because, we're spending $500 million on hobbits and trolls. Yeah, thanks. As you know, there hasn't been enough Lord of the Rings shit done. There hasn't been. I know. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. Don't give me any shit about it. I don't care. I've actually seen the first 3 movies one time. Seriously. I've never actually seen them in the theaters. And I did not see The Hobbit because to me, it screamed money grab. And from what I understand, with the exception of a few instances, I was proven right. It was another one of those. It was another one of those films where people had the opportunity to go see it, and they bitched about how bad it was, but yet they went and saw the other 2 movies when they came out. Even though they were like, oh, yeah, this is really bullshit, how they stretched it out, and all this other stuff. Yeah, but you still went and gave money to it. It's like I had a friend one time. He admitted that The Phantom Menace, when it first came out, was a really bad movie, but he also admitted he saw it 4 times. It's like, if it's a really bad movie, why are you going and seeing it so many times? Well, I had to. I went with friends and stuff like that. It's like, no. Why are you giving your money to George Lucas? Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, well, yeah, it's a really bad film. How many times have you seen it? 4? If it's a really bad movie, you know how many times I see it? Once. Or I'll read reviews and go, this doesn't sound like the kind of film I want to see. So, I'm just funny like that. I don't go, boy, that was a really bad movie. I should go see it again just to see how bad it was. Yeah. And of the Star Wars movies, I actually do want to see The Last Jedi. I really do. Basically because it sounds like it's the Empire Strikes Back of my era, of this era. And I love The Empire Strikes Back. Of all the Star Wars movies, it's my favorite. Basically because it actually shows your heroes getting their asses kicked, which is something that happens to heroes, especially if you follow the hero's journey. Not everything's going to go easy breezy for you. And it was kind of refreshing to watch, a movie where basically everything ends up kind of in chaos at the end. But then, of course, in the last movie, everything's going to come out right. I have not seen the last of the first trilogy. I've never seen it. The Return of the Sith. Or Sith. The Return of the Sith is what happens when you're not keeping up with your medication after a bad night out. I've not seen Return of the Sith, or whatever the hell that movie was called. I don't know. I never saw the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones in the theaters either. The Attack of the Clones, I sat through it on HBO one time and just was groaning at the lines. I was like, oh my God. Lucas was actually paid for writing this shit. And I give George a lot of static, but let's face it, he did the movies the way he wanted to do it. And I got to give him credit for that. The guy stood behind it. And then when they offered him $4 billion, he was like, gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm cashing out. And he has basically said that one of the reasons why he cashed out on Star Wars was he got tired of all the fan bitching. So just give me the money and I'll let Disney deal with it. And you see how Disney deals with fan bitching. They just ignore it. They don't give a fuck. I had even told somebody that. I can remember when before The Force Returns came out and people were like, oh, Disney's going to stick to, they're going to give the fans what they want and all this other stuff. And I was like, you guys don't understand. Disney now can do whatever the hell they feel like doing to these films. And there ain't shit you can do about it because it's Disney. They know they're going to get butts in the seats. And I think it's been kind of proven out because of the now 4 Star Wars movies that have been put out since Disney took over. 2 have been rather polarizing. I watched the one, what the hell was that? What did they call that? It was the Star Wars movie Rogue One. I actually loved that film. I did. Because it was another one of those, everybody's going to die at the end. You knew it. You knew everyone was going to die. It was really one of those films where nobody was going to make it out alive. And I was kind of cool with that. I was like, yeah, that happens sometimes. You really do want to see that. And, it was stated in the very first film, New Hope, a lot of people died getting these plans out. Well, we got to see them die. We got to see them die. And it pissed off a lot of Star Wars fans. There's all the shit floating around about Poe Dameron's sexuality. He's probably gay. The Last Jedi, enough said. The fanboy whining on that film alone just fills my heart with glee, which is one of the reasons why I want to see it. Because I can just imagine, a burned out Luke Skywalker just wandering around going, why the fuck am I still doing this? Fuck the Force. Why do you want to do this? And we do discover that Luke is just this extremely tragic character because the hopes of the entire galaxy were on his shoulders. And he blew it. He literally blew it. So, Luke checks out. Sorry if that was a spoiler. Jesus. But a lot of people go down, and he has the one probably the most incredible line ever uttered in a movie, where he's listening to his nephew rant and rave, and amazing. Everything you just said is wrong. Every single word you just said is wrong. I just want to use that line over and over from now on. I got to get a screen cap of Luke's face just saying amazing. Every single word you just said is wrong. And post that the next time, some anti-vaxxer starts talking shit. Boom. Every single word you said is wrong. And now with the Han Solo movie coming out and Donald Glover playing Lando and playing a really sharp Lando. Lando was actually one of my favorite characters simply because Billy D. Williams played him to the T. He played Lando the way you would expect a real slick, smooth operator to be. And Donald plays him the same way. But what are we hearing now about in the Solo movie? Well, there's a lot of flirting going on between Lando and Han. Why? They've come out and admitted Lando is pansexual, which, if you're unfamiliar with the term pansexuality, it means you're both bisexual and you're not concerned with gender identity. So you are attracted to both cis and trans members on anywhere in the spectrum, The dude hits all the bases. When they say Lando is a player, they are not bullshitting. This guy plays not just part of the field, he plays the whole field. Everything. He does not care. And apparently Donald Glover he's cool with the whole damn thing. He apparently wanted something like that for Lando. That was something that he saw for Lando. So, I'm expecting, I haven't really been out to any of the forums to see the bitching, but I'm sure it's like gone sky high. Yeah. Oh my God. They've ruined the characters again. It's like, again, guys, it's Disney. They don't care about your bitching. They know there will be asses in the seats buying tickets. And, you guys keep wishing for these movies to come out. And each one of them keep deconstructing your memories of what the shit was from 40 years ago. You should just let things alone. Because you got to realize, these characters probably were always like that, but in the 70s and 80s, you couldn't show shit. You really couldn't. The studios would never have made movies if, turned out Luke was bisexual, or as was kind of hinted in The Last Jedi that General Hondo, I think that was her name, and General Solo, a.k.a. Princess Leia, may have actually had something going on. And I think it was kind of indicated that Laura Dern said her character was actually a lesbian. So it kind of brings up the possibility that General Leia Solo was actually bisexual. And of course, we don't have Carrie Fisher around anymore to talk about this, so we don't know. But I'm down with that. I think Carrie would be too. I think she'd be like, yeah, works for me. That, and every time Laura Dern was firing her blaster, you could actually see her going pew pew. I saw a video of it, and you could actually see her when she's shooting. She's going pew, 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 pew. And Ryan Johnson just said, we just basically let her do it. We didn't care. But yeah, he talked about that and said, yeah, you couldn't keep her from going pew pew. Just like you couldn't keep Ewan McGregor from making lightsaber noises when he was fighting. They had to work real hard with him to get him to stop going. And they were like, don't worry, Ewan, we'll We'll put the sound effects in later. You don't have to do it for us. And apparently Christian Henderson, I can't think of the actor who played whiny Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, apparently he was doing the same thing. This is what happens when you get actors who were fans of the original series who, as kids, were like, and now it's like, oh God, please, guys, don't do this. Yeah, I didn't expect to start the first 20 minutes off talking about Star Wars. Shit happens. Writing. I've been working on my mermaid story. You should be reading it. It's really good. It is. It really is good. I'm up over 24,000 words now as of last night. I was funny because I was out last night. I didn't get home until about 10:15 or so. And I was actually expecting to do 2 installments today. And when I got home at 10:15, I said, I'll just write it. And it ended up, it was actually 666 words. Get the cross out. Yeah, but I'm up over 24,000 words now. If you're not reading my mermaid story, you should be. You should be reading it because it is my writing. Just because I'm not reading about a couple of little witches, you should be reading this shit. You should. I don't know why you're not. It's good. It's good writing. I do. I think it's actually pretty good considering I'm just like going along making shit up. And now I'm getting down to like the last 12 installments and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to stretch this goddamn thing out for a few more installments? We'll see. But you should be reading it if you're not reading it. I have to ask myself, why aren't you reading my writing? This is me judging you for not reading my story. This is my judgy face. Yeah, I did go out last night. It was Thirdenberg again. I went to the LGBT Center for an open house. They had wine and cheese. I had wine and some cheese. And probably had a little bit more wine than I should have. I had to curtail it early on because I could feel it hitting me pretty hard. And updated a couple of friends they're friends of mine on Facebook. They don't follow me ardently and who had no idea what had been going on in my life for the last month. I was like, yeah, this is what happened. I got suspended and then I got put in a mental hospital for 8 days. I'm okay. I'm much better now. I'm going to use, Buddy's line from Night Court. The judge's father had a history. It was written into the show that his father had a history of being in and out of mental hospitals because he had mental illness. And his father was played by the incredible John Astin, who did not nearly get as much recognition for his body of work as he should have. Who every time you'd meet him, he'd always kind of tell you, yeah, I've been in a mental hospital, but I'm much better now. So I've actually started using that line on a couple of instances of like, yeah, I was in a mental hospital for 8 days, but I'm much better now. It's really funny, the reactions you get from people when you tell them that. They just like, but yeah, I was. I mean, I'm not going to try to hide it. I was. And it was my second time in a mental hospital. I'm really up about that. I haven't actually written about it. And one of the reasons why I didn't do a blog post on what it was like being in a hospital is I've kind of covered it in the videos. And the reality of it is it's a regimented day. Everything you do is regimented. You get up, you eat at certain times, you go to groups. you go to bed at certain times, or at least you're supposed to. And there's really not much else to say beyond that. You get up, you take your meds, you eat, and you go to groups. And you have visiting hours. And literally, we had 2 visiting hours. Some of us got visitors. Some of us didn't. But really, yeah, I mean, I decided not to do an article in my blog about it because really there wasn't much to say. When I started thinking about it, it was like, I got up, I ate, I went to groups, I came back, I ate, I went to groups, I came back, I ate, I went to groups, I relaxed, I went to bed. We're back, Jack, do it again. So that's what it actually was like. And the only other thing I had to deal with was I was constantly getting my blood taken every day. I think there was only like 2 days where I didn't have my blood taken because my white cell count was up, and they couldn't figure out what was causing it. They said they didn't see anything that indicated I had leukemia. Great. But they saw nothing that indicated I had an infection, and I didn't appear sick, so they couldn't understand why my white cell count was up. So I actually have to go back on the 20th of June to have additional testing done on me. I also have my my Pennsylvania access now, so I'm basically getting free health care. And I have to choose that today. I need to get online and enroll for it. Otherwise, they're just going to put me in a plan. So I need to do that later today. I will probably do that this afternoon. Yeah, and you can enroll online, so I'm going to try to do it that way. See what I can get. But I need to do it. But I need to do it because my meds are running out, and I'm going to need that Pennsylvania Access card to be able to get my meds for cheap. I think really my copay is going to end up being like $20 for meds. That's going to be it. So that'll be good. Yeah. And what else? Well, I'm down to the last few days of my suspension. I'm about ready to be kicked out of Derby jail. I have today, tomorrow, and Monday are the last 3 days of my suspension. There's a bout tomorrow. I will not be there. I'm not going to pay to go see them play when before I was, doing it for free. And really, I wasn't actually watching them play because I was spending all my time filming. I have no idea if anyone's filming the bout tomorrow. I have not been asked. And in fact, tomorrow I may actually be in Washington, D.C. I'm thinking of going to Washington, D.C. because the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the theater there has a special showing of the 50th anniversary print of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And it's like the closest theater to me that's showing the movie. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd have to go to New York City, or I'd have to go to Ohio. Believe it or not, there's one theater in Ohio showing it, and it's in Columbus. It's like, what? If I was near Chicago, the Music Box Theater, which is really famous for their art house movies, is showing it. And I think it might have something to do with the fact that it's a 70 millimeter show. So they're looking for screens where they can actually show it. So the only time they're showing it in Washington, D.C. is tomorrow at 1:45. And I'm seriously thinking of driving down to Washington, D.C. and paying for parking and just going and seeing the movie. I may actually buy the ticket today. I have to see how they do it. If they, you get the ticket on your phone or not. So that would mean next Wednesday would be my first practice day in like a long time. I was thinking about it before I started the video, and the last time I was at practice was actually the 11th of April. The next day, the 12th of April, I was on TV for PA Good Day, helping promote the fact we were having a bout on April 15th. Then April 16th, we had bout review, and then April 18th was practice, which I did not go to. So the last time I was actually at practice was the 11th of April. And I'm thinking of not going to practice for the next 2 weeks because, when you give me time to sit at home and do nothing, I've been watching the end of the last season of The Americans, and it's like, well, all of a sudden I'm invested in watching the show, and there's only 2 episodes left before the show goes off the air, and they happen to be next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. And I'm like, boy, I can't miss these episodes. So I'm seriously thinking, literally not showing up for like the next 2 weeks while I finish off The Americans. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided what's going to happen. I've actually been speaking with a lot of people. By that, I mean like 5 or 6 folks in different leagues, and someone I know that's currently in my current league. Trying to decide what I want to do, whether I want to go back or not. And I will go back. But I'm not the same person that went away. This is going to be interesting. I've kind of said this before. Nobody at practice has actually seen me the way I am now. I still kind of hang on to old shit. I talked to a friend last Thursday, actually, and she elaborated that you tend to keep going back to the same things over and over and over again. You need to let them go. And I said, yeah, you're right. My psychiatrists have actually pointed that out too, and I need to do that. I need to stop thinking of what's the worst thing that's going to happen. And it's something that really does affect me. But I'm still waiting on a psychiatrist now. So, I can't, I'm just trying to deal with this stuff the best I can on my own. But yeah, I kind of figure I will go back. But I'm really going to kind of go back with the intention of seeing how it's going to go. And if I don't feel that it's going to be a good fit, there's a distinct possibility I'm going to look elsewhere. Quite honestly, I have done a lot for the league in the last year. And as was pointed out to me by other people, they don't seem to be doing a lot for you in return. And I guess that's how I'm starting to feel. I don't want to feel that way because I really love my league. I love the people I work with. And I would say play with, but I haven't played yet. But at the same time, it does seem true that I've done a lot for the league and not got as much in return for it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I probably will go into practice on Wednesday. Whether I gear up or not, I haven't decided. Like I said, Americans, baby, penultimate and final episodes. I can't miss that. And they start at 10. Now, last week's episode was 90 minutes long, which means it repeated at 11:30, which would be the time I would be getting back from practice. And I don't know if I want to sit around until 1 o'clock in the morning, all stinky and smelly and sweaty, and then go to bed. I've kind of gotten used to the fact that when you come home from practice, you want to clean up right away. So, yeah, it's like I said, I may just blow off these next 2 Wednesdays as practice. I may just observe and then go home because it's like, gotta watch the Americans, guys. You shouldn't have given me all that time off. Sorry. But you should not give me that time off. Otherwise, I would have just waited for the show to come out on Amazon Prime. Yeah, that's the thing. I just would have waited for the show to come out on Amazon. But no, you gave me the time off and I got a chance to see it. Now I don't want to walk away from it, It's like, oh no, I can't do this. I'm sitting here charging stuff up. So yeah, that's kind of how things are right now. My life it's not bad. I've actually had a couple of job prospects. Unfortunately, one of the job prospects was deep in the heart of Alabama. And I just wrote back and said, I'm LGBT. No way in hell am I going to Alabama or any of the deep South states to work. It's just not going to happen. I actually told the recruiter, I said, I would not feel safe. As an LGBT member, I would not feel safe. And I hope that's something that a lot of LGBT people do say, Plus, it was like 6 months with a possibility of an extension. I was like, no, I'm not moving to Alabama for 6 months and then get told, no, we don't need you anymore. Yeah, enough of that bullshit. And then another one is, guy wants me to reply if I'd be interested. It's for a programming / EDI manager. And I have a feeling it's going to be actually more EDI management. And EDI blows. It really does. They say it will pay upwards of $140,000. But the job's on Long Island. Depending on where it's at in Long Island, $140,000 there is like $50,000 here in Harrisburg. I mean, you're talking about apartments where the rent is like $2,000 a month in some places. And it's just like, oh, Christ, that's probably, and you got to wonder if they're having trouble finding someone for this position. Is it because it's a real ball buster of a job? And they're saying, well, it's going to pay $140,000. Yeah, but it's Long Island, $140,000 there is like nothing. In fact, I would actually rather make like $50,000 here in Harrisburg, which I could get by on. Because, I'm close to everything. When you're on Long Island, anytime you want to go somewhere, you have to drive through New York City to get there. It really is true. You start thinking about that, and it's like anytime you're in Long Island, unless you're going to another place on Long Island, if you want to go anywhere outside of Long Island, you have to go through New York City. You have to. You can't get around it unless you have a fucking airplane or a boat. Then you can get around it. I think it's actually possible if you drive to certain points on the north part of Long Island, you can actually take a ferry across to a Connecticut or Rhode Island, which is interesting. But I have to look at the cost of living there. Because I have a feeling, like I said, I have a feeling like $140,000 in some places in Long Island is like $50,000 here. The cost of living is just going to be that much more extreme. So I have to look into that. I'll send them back and say, yeah, I'm kind of interested. I'd be interested to see where this job is located and what's entailed in the position. Oh, don't flash money at me because I've always said in the past, money doesn't matter if the job sucks. You can give me a couple of $100,000 a year for a job. And if I'm completely miserable in that job, I won't give a shit about the money. Yeah, I'm strange that way. I really, I really am. I've always been that way. That's why I kind of told my daughter, find something you really enjoy and do that. Don't work just for money. That was my mistake. I got into a field and I thought, I'll get into this field because it's going to pay well. And nowadays, I wish I'd never gotten into computers. I wish I'd actually followed, tried to do something that I felt passionate about, except that when you're in your 20s and suffering from gender dysmorphia and depression, I didn't feel passionate about anything. And I always had my parents basically breaking me down, telling me I needed a job and I needed to make money and stuff like that. I didn't get a chance to do that. With my daughter, I always told her, do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Don't listen to us telling you need to pay the bills. Find something that you love to do and do it. And, she is. So, well, there I am. I've rambled on for over 40 minutes. So I think it's time for me to move on. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So have a good day. I will talk to you later. And hey, I'll see you next week. Bye.